Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you a week in the life of my sourdough starter. I made a starter a few years back and I use it all the time. I use it for so many things other than sourdough bread. And I've seen videos like this here on YouTube and I think they're super fun. So I'm basically just gonna be taking you guys along with me and sharing all the different things I'm making in a week with my starter. If you're new around here, my name is Becca. I'm a registered dietitian. I share lots of nutrition content here on my channel. I love cooking from mostly from scratch here in my kitchen for my family. And I also am very passionate about intuitive eating. This is my starter right here. I keep it in this big half-gallon jar, which I love so much. And I use it for all sorts of things. So if you want to see how I use it, how I feed it, do I keep it out on the counter, do I put it in the fridge? Let's get started. Okay, you guys, so I am starting off my typical week of sourdough. So I just pulled my starter out of the fridge and it's pretty flat. As you can probably see, there are still definitely some bubbles in there, but it's very flat. It needs to be fed. It's hungry. So we're gonna do that. So tomorrow kind of kicks off my sourdough baking for the week, and I'm gonna be making our sourdough sandwich bread. So I will try and link as many of the recipes that I'm using down in the description box below, because a lot of them are from blog posts that are like tried and true for me. But my sandwich bread recipe actually comes from a book, and I will, I've mentioned this in videos before, but I will link this book down below. It's by Melissa K. Norris. It's her handmade modern guide to made from scratch living. I love this book. I love her. I've learned so much from her. But I use her sourdough sandwich bread recipe. I've made it so many times. I've just like written it down on this little piece of paper so that I can reference it easily instead of having to read the book every time. But it's the best one that I have found because it is the fluffiest, it is the lightest and least dense. And I also use straight up home ground wheat flour for it. Whereas most sandwich bread recipes, to be a little bit lighter and fluffier and like good tasty, they usually have all-purpose flour. So this is the best one I've ever come across. It's the one that I've made a million times over. So anyway, so in order to do that, I need to actually feed my starter first. So I feed my starter, if I'm gonna use it at nighttime, like make the dough at night, which is what I like to do most of the time, and let it ferment overnight. I will usually feed my starter somewhere around lunchtime, depending on the time of year. If it's in the middle of the winter, our house is freezing, it takes like that entire time, that whole 6-8 hours to kind of bubble up and be ready. If it's, you know, a little bit warmer in my kitchen, it doesn't take quite as long. So I shoot for around lunchtime, and then wherever my starter is when I go to make the dough at night is fine by me. I'm not perfect about it by any means, and that seems to work out just fine. Everything always turns out well. Hey guys, I just wanted to take a quick second to tell you about my nutrition and intuitive eating program, Mindful Eating Made Simple. This program is all of my knowledge, education, tips, expertise, experience all in one place, where I teach you everything you need to know about not just nutrition, but also how to eat in a way that is healthy and balanced for the lifelong. I am a firm believer that you need to be equipped both with robust nutrition knowledge that makes sense, that can be applied to your daily life, but also understanding how to eat intuitively, because I believe that that is the only way to enjoy eating, but not go overboard and be able to maintain health and vitality through your lifetime. So if you are just done with being on a cycle of dieting and trying this diet and that diet and failing and trying again and all of that nonsense, or maybe you're just trying to eat healthy, but you find nutrition confusing or you find it stressful and you feel like you kind of end up turning it into a diet in itself and you just can't do it in a way that is relaxed and sustainable and balanced, then this program is for you. I will personally be here to hold your hand and walk you through as you build on this new knowledge and make these changes. My mission is to help women feel confident with healthy eating, but without the complex. And that is exactly what I do in this program. So I will leave a link down below if you are ready to join me inside the program And maybe you're still on the fence. And if that's the case, I would highly recommend taking my free Mindful Eating Mindset Masterclass, where you are going to start to learn how to break down that diet mentality, how to eat healthy for the long term in a way that's balanced and sustainable, and also avoid some of the most common mistakes people make when it comes to healthy eating. If this sounds like something you are needing in your life, I so hope to see you inside the program. I want to help you make the changes that are actually going to give you your freedom back, give you your life back, and allow you to eat in a way that has both enjoyment but nourishment at the same time. Okay, so I'm gonna feed it. So obviously to feed your starter, what you need is flour and water. So a lot of the times I just feed it with all-purpose flour because we have a huge container of it. We buy it in bulk and it's just super easy to just grab it and feed it. And that is what I do most of the time. But I actually do have some extra, this is einkorn flour that I had ground up earlier, and this is like leftover flour. So I'm gonna use that up while it's fresh instead of, dipping into the all-purpose flour. And this is obviously einkorn, my all-purpose is wheat. I feed it both flours, never had any issues. I just kind of, feed whatever I have. Sometimes I actually bake with einkorn flour, but I use my starter that might be all-purpose. To me, it just doesn't really matter that much. But anyway, so I have this. So I'm just going to pour some flour in. Let me see if I can actually show you guys. Bo is playing on the floor, so you can just ignore him. So I don't really measure ever. I am very quick and dirty about my starter, and it always turns out fine. I just try and feed it around the amount I want to get out of it. So if I am, this recipe actually calls for a lot. It calls for 2 cups of starter, and there's already a decent amount in here. This is a half-gallon jar, and an anchor jar. So I will add around 2 cups of flour. There's already kind of a lot in here, so maybe not quite that. I just totally eyeball it. And then I add just enough water to get to a slightly thicker than pancake batter consistency. I go more off of look and consistency and smell. I don't do exact measurements because numbers are not my thing. And if I try and get technical with it, 1, it's so confusing to me. 2, it sucks all the fun right out of it. And 3, I can almost never get it right. So I just decided not to do that a long time ago, and I've been living my best sourdough life ever since. If you are someone that is super technical and you enjoy that kind of thing and you want artisan level baking, then go for it. That's just not how I do things. So I'm gonna dump in some flour. I'm gonna I'm gonna pour in some water, mix it up until it's the consistency that I like to see. I've done this so many times that I can eyeball it pretty well. And then I'll show you guys what it looks like after. Okay, so I just mixed it all up, and this is the consistency. This looks pretty good. Einkorn flour doesn't absorb as much water, so I feel like I probably could have done a little bit less water, but this looks pretty good. This should be just fine. Now I'm going to sit it to ferment, and then after dinner, once the kids go to bed, I should be able to get some bread started. Okay, you guys, so my starter is fed and very happy. It might be hard for you to see, but I want to say it peaked around 5 afters after I fed it. I wasn't really keeping an eye on it that closely, but it's definitely fallen. It's past its peak, but I don't probably ever use my starter right at its peak, and things always turn out fine. So you can kind of see here, it rose to right about here. You see that line? So that's as high up as it got. And then now that it's falling down, it's coming back down. So you can that's how you know if has already peaked, because it starts to fall back down. Okay, so you can also go by smell too. It doesn't smell super sour or tangy when it's really fed and happy. And obviously it's super bubbly as well. I'll show you in a second, but it's jiggly, it's full of bubbles. And it smells kind of fruity to me when it's very well fed, almost I think it kind of smells like bananas. So here's a little shot at what what the bubbles look like. You can see it's really just full of bubbles. So I am gonna make the bread tonight. I'm getting dinner together right now, and then before the kids go down, probably while I'm cooking dinner, I'm going to grind up a bunch of wheat flour. So I'm probably gonna do that in just a second. I like to do that and try and set myself up as much as possible with all the ingredients I need to make the bread, because I'm always tired when the kids go down. But if I collect everything and I get the flour grinded, it's usually pretty quick. So I'm gonna get that together, and then we will, once the kids are asleep, make some bread. Okay guys, so I just put my dough for my sandwich bread in the fridge, but then I also put my starter in the fridge. Here's my starter. So I am not gonna be using it. If I was gonna use it like again in the morning, I could feed it, let it, you know, do its thing overnight and then use it again in the morning. But because I'm not gonna be using it until I think later in the day tomorrow, if I remember correctly, I just put it in the fridge. That basically like puts it kind of on pause. It will drastically slow down the fermentation. If I just left it out tonight and didn't feed it, it would be very hungry in the morning. So since I'm not gonna be using it again in like 12 hours, I'm just sticking it in the fridge, and then the next time I need it, I'll pull it out and feed it. Hey you guys, okay, so it's the next day and I just pulled my starter out of the fridge. It's super cold and I'm about to feed it. It's around lunchtime, so by this evening it should be nice and bubbly and full of life. Tonight for dinner I am making a sourdough skillet. This is a recipe that I found from Lisa. Her blog is Farmhouse on Boone. If you haven't watched her YouTube videos, I'm surprised. She has so many good videos here on YouTube. I got this recipe from her years ago, and it's just kind of become like a family weeknight meal favorite for us. So you need some nice bubbly active starch. Well, I mean, you don't, I guess it doesn't have to be active, but I need more than this to make that. So feeding it for that reason. But then also tonight, I'm gonna get some dough going for sourdough English muffins that we're gonna eat tomorrow morning for breakfast. That's another Farmhouse on Boone recipe I like. Hers is like super simple and not overcomplicated, and I always come back to it. So I'll link both of those recipes down below so you can check out her blog for those. But let's feed my starter. Okay, you guys, so I just pulled out a bowl. I'm about to get the English muffins started. They're super easy to start like the night before so they can ferment. So it's literally just flour, water, and starter. So this is some fresh ground wheat flour from, I guess, was that yesterday, that I have left over. So I'm gonna use that up. I might have to ground more. I might be able to squeak by with this, but it's 2.5 cups. Again, this is a Farmhouse on Boone, I'll put the link, but it's 2.5 cups flour, 1 cup water, 1/2 cup starter. Just mix it all up. I just cover it with plastic wrap and then let it sit overnight. And then in the morning, you add a couple more things, cook them on the skillet. They're pretty easy and they are so good. Okay, you guys, I'm back, another day. We've got some new sourdough starter things to make. So just pulled my starter out of the fridge. It's very cold. Going to feed it because tonight I'm going to make pancake batter and I'm also gonna make pizza dough. So again, I will link, well, the pancake batter I'll link down below. I recently discovered these pancakes from the blog's called Clever Carrot. She has really good sourdough recipes. She has a great book, which I don't have, but I've heard great things about it. Maybe I need to get it. But anyway, so I'll link her pancake recipe down below. They're so fluffy and delicious. They're like our new favorite pancakes, and they've got that sourdough tang. Oh, they're just so good. And then, so on Fridays, we always have pancakes for breakfast and pizza for dinner. That's like our thing. So I obviously need to start stuff for that. So the pizza is my recipe that I have been working on for a long time. I'm gonna share with you guys how exactly I make it when I make the dough later and then when I cook the pizza tomorrow. But it's like, I've tried a bunch of different pizza recipes, sourdough pizza recipes, and this is kind of what I've landed on from all the different ones that I've tried as far as like what ingredients go into the dough and then how exactly you cook it in an oven to make it like the best, closest to like Neapolitan style pizza possible. So anyway, we need to get that started, which starts with feeding the starter. So it'll be nice and happy and bubbly tonight. So let's do that. All right, you guys, so I am about to get the pancake batter and pizza dough started. Okay, so my starter is all nice and fed. As you can see, it's come all the way up to the top here. So rose all the way up there. And you see all of those glorious bubbles. It's very light and airy. Lots and lots of bubbles. So get these started. I'm gonna start with the pizza dough. So for the pizza dough, I do half all purpose because that makes it like really light and fluffy. And then I do half fresh ground whole wheat. Okay, so this is my grain mill. It is a Nutri-Mill. It's the Harvest one. So you basically just put a bowl under here. The flour will come directly out of this like nozzle. You put the wheat berries up here, and it grinds it right into the bowl, and it's actually like not super loud. It's not nearly as loud. I actually used to have a different one. I love this one so much more because it just comes directly into the bowl, plus it's prettier to sit out. Here are the wheat berries. These are, I think, hard white wheat. I can't remember exactly. So you basically just pour these in the top. Fresh flour comes right out in here. And this, you can actually get this. There's like a Mother's Day sale going on right now for this grain mill, or really for all the Nutri-Mill grain mills. You can get $30 off of it, plus a free cutting board, which is really fun. So that's like limited time because it's Mother's Day. So I'll leave a link for that down below. And I've done, I have on my blog like a cost breakdown when it comes to like buying wheat berries and grinding them into flour instead of like buying bags of flour. So if you're curious kind of like how that shakes out, I'll leave that linked down below for you as well. Okay, so I've got my whole wheat flour here. So I do 2 cups of whole wheat, 2 cups of all-purpose, and then I do 2 tablespoons of olive oil, 2 teaspoons of salt, and then 1.5 cups water. And then I just let it ferment overnight. And then in the morning, I will stick it in the fridge until we're ready to like use it later on. I could also just make this dough first thing in the morning and let it ferment all day, which sometimes I do, but I like to obviously make the pancake batter the night before. So when I'm feeding the starter, I just wanna make both at the same time, more efficient. So that's how I make the pizza dough. And I forgot to mention the most important part, 1/2 cup starter. That goes in the pizza dough as well. Okay, so now moving on to sourdough pancakes. I've got my flour here. I use straight up all-purpose for these because I want them to be like super fluffy, because that's what makes pancakes so good. I'll link the recipe down below. It's from the Clever Carrot blog, and I love it. And it just makes the best sourdough pancakes that I've personally ever tried. Okay, you guys, so I just pulled my pizza dough out of the refrigerator, and it's been in there all day. It fermented overnight last night, and then I put it in the fridge to kind of put it on pause until I was ready to use it, which is now. So what I do with this makes, I should say first, this makes like 4 like personal size pizzas, which is plenty for us for dinner. And I found this cooking method somewhere online at some point, and I can't remember where, but it's the closest I've been ever able to get pizza to that like Neapolitan style in my just like regular oven at home. Obviously, if it's done in like a brick oven, or you can even get those like pizza ovens nowadays that get up to like 1,000 degrees, that is always the tastiest. But this is what I do, and it works. So basically, I cook them on skillets in the oven. You do broil on high, and you put the skillets in like the very top rack, closest to the top as you can get it. And you put them in there until they get nice and like piping hot. They're smoking a little bit. I roll out the pizza dough with my hands. I put the pizza dough on the skillet with some toppings, and then put it in, broil it until the top starts to get charred. And then at that point you pull it out, and then you finish cooking it on the stovetop for just a few more minutes until the bottom starts to get charred as well. That's how you do it. Super easy, it moves quick, and it makes some really tasty at-home sourdough pizza. Okay, you guys, so that is it for this video. I hope you enjoyed watching. If you have any questions, leave them down below. And of course, if you have any other videos that you would like to see from me, please comment those down below as well. I love getting feedback from you guys. It really helps me. And I want to make videos that you want to watch. But if you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe. Join my little community here on YouTube. I would love to have you. But that is all I have for this video. Thank you again for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.